This is how we do it. This is how we podcast.
Hey, Kara.
Hey, Megan.
How are you?
I'm good. We're on the Witches, Magic, Murder, and Mystery podcast.
We said it right away this time. That may be the earliest we've ever said.
Because we always forget about it.
I know. I'll just start chatting and I'm like, oh, P.S.
Oh, hey, guys. In
Witches
case you
Magic.
forgot which one you clicked on.
They probably hear our accents and they know right away.
Yeah.
Oh, it's those Kentucky girls.
Do we sound like we're from Kentucky? Yeah.
We don't notice it, but when I have
Y'all
gone,
ain't done noticed nothing.
But whenever, when I go places, people are like, oh, where are you from? Like when I went to New York with
Bless your
book
heart.
stuff, yeah, they're like, ooh, where are you from? As soon as I spoke.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even think my accent's that bad.
No. Get me drunk, though.
Oh,
I
same.
get real country.
Yeah.
I like it, though. I'm entertaining.
Oh, I was going to say something. We got, a few episodes ago when we did the Mandela Effect episode, a lot of people are very upset about the Berenstain Bears thing.
I'm still upset. I'm wounded. Wounded.
It hurts.
It does.
And a girl sent a picture that is like, it's got Berenstain. It's misspelled on the...
Oh.
Yeah. So I read a little more about it to be like, well, how is that?
Yeah.
What? No wonder we're all confused.
Yeah.
But the whole story is basically that those books were so widely printed and that they just, on some of them, because everybody thinks it's supposed to be spelled differently, that they misspelled it wrong. Which maybe that's why we're all so confused and why we never really know how to spell it.
Maybe growing up we had the wrong print.
Or we all grew up in a different dimension and now we're here. That's all I'm saying.
We've just met in this one. Welcome.
I have not met a single person who's like, yeah, sure, Berenstain. That's how I remember it too. Not a single person.
No.
So clearly.
So if you're listening to this right now, you're on the right track.
Yeah. We're all together in whatever this dimension is. Would you like me to talk about quantum physics again?
Yes, please.
Let's definitely talk about that some more.
Yeah, I'm going to just hand my podcast over to you.
Okay, thanks.
And
All right. So,
let's get these books out.
cosmic expansion. No, okay. All right. What do you have for me today?
Okay, guys, I don't speak Russian. And I'm going to miss...
You don't?
I know. I mean, contrary to any beliefs.
What are we doing here? I quit.
I am probably not even going to say a lot of these names and places just because. I'm just going to be like, and then up on that hill or whatever.
Fine.
Because I'm going to butcher every minute of this.
It's okay. We do that sometimes.
But
we're still, again, as Brene Brown would say, we're still worthy of love. Yeah. We're imperfect and worthy of love.
I am doing the mystery of the 1959 Dyatlov Pass incident.
Dyatlov Pass.
Dyatlov.
I love this story so much.
I love it so much.
It's a great one.
I was in a rabbit hole on this until probably 2 a.m. this morning.
God, it's so
I
good.
just was like trying to go back over my research and then just climbed into this website. It's a lot. And I'll tell you about it as I'm going through this.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
the
it's a
thing on
lot.
this one is like usually I can even be like, if I can't come up with any other explanation, I'll be like aliens. But here I'm like, I can't even say aliens on this one. Like this one, I truly have no idea what happened. So I can't wait to hear what you have.
I have some theories.
I'm so excited because I got nothing on this.
I mean,
all I know is it's terrifying.
It comes down to my theory with everything, really. I mean, Maura Murray, all the things.
Fairies.
I would love that.
I feel like that's your theory on everything.
Well, fairies wouldn't cut somebody's tongue out, though.
Go.
What?
What's your theory on Maura Murray? Listen, we're getting sidetracked.
Here, let's do our podcast.
Okay.
And you know what? We should have a theory podcast day where
we should.
Let's
Just
do
theories
it.
on like
Yes!
the yeah. Because
Okay.
I have theories on Maura Murray too.
Okay.
We're not going to discuss those today because we're talking about the Dyatlov Pass incident.
Okay. There's also a film called The Dyatlov Pass Incident, or The Devil's Pass as it was renamed. I looked into parts of it and I cannot watch movies like that because they terrify the shit out of me.
I mean, and this whole story doesn't need any embellishment. It's
It doesn't.
terrifying
See,
as
that's
it
the
is.
thing. Will was like, why can you sit here and read and research and watch all these true crime things, but you can't watch that? And I was like, listen, because true crime, you know that there's an end, you know that there's a method to these crazy people's madness, but when you're watching something that someone created from this incident, but also embellished, you're then thinking different scenarios. Okay, it could go this way, it could go this way, and then you're having to use your imagination, and that terrifies me.
I go to sleep almost every night listening to True Crime Garage. Go right to sleep listening to these horrible true crime stories. But their two voices, I don't know if you guys listen to True Crime Garage, but it's two men. And something about their voices and the way they talk just puts me right to sleep. And I mean that in a good way. I love the podcast. Yeah. I'll go back and listen later to catch what I missed. But like, I go to sleep listening to True Crime. It doesn't bother me. Yeah. Just drift off to sleep like a baby.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like Payne Lindsay's voice is just so soothing.
Payne Lindsay's got a great voice,
And back to Dyatlov. Okay, so in 1959, a group of like former skiing expedition people decided to go through places in the Soviet Union. Words are hard.
Places with Russian names.
Yeah, So, according to documents that were found in the tent of these expeditioners, that suggests that it was named for the 21st Congress of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. So it was possibly coordinated by this organization that has to do with the Soviet Union. Possibly.
Okay.
Says documents that were found. So there were 10 people that were supposed to go. Each member of the group, it consisted of 8 men, 2 women. They were all experienced hikers with grade 2 hiking, which I know absolutely nothing about this. But after they went on this expedition, they were to be, once they were done, they were to be certified as grade 3, which is like high, like at that time, super high level of hiking. I don't know.
Sounds good.
Yep. Sounds great to me. The route was designed and mapped out, and it was signed off on. So people knew the route that they were taking, but nobody else was going with them. So on January 8th, that's when they confirmed the route. The goal of the expedition was to reach this mountain north of the site where this incident occurred. In February, it was estimated to be the most difficult time to take this route.
Okay.
So I'm guessing the weather was just horrible.
But I guess
super
they
cold.
did it then because they were going for this
this
high-level certification.
Yeah.
Okay.
So on January 27th, that's when they began their trek towards this one place. Gora Otorten?
Sure. That sounds exactly correct.
Yep.
No way that's wrong. Keep going.
On January 28th, one member, Yuri Yudin, suffered from several health issues. He had rheumatism and heart issues. He decided to step back and be like, guys, I can't do this hike. So that made the 9 of them.
Okay.
So only 2 women.
So it was 9. In my head,
Yeah.
Okay.
So there were supposed to be 10, but Yuri decided to back out.
I don't know why I didn't realize there were that many.
Yes.
Which makes it worse.
Yes.
Okay.
So the 9 hikers continued the trek. Diaries and cameras were found at their last campsite and made it possible to track the group's route up to the day preceding the incident. So they were constantly documenting everything. Each one of them had a camera. Each one of them had diaries. They were keeping notes, memos, writing down their, all things about their trek.
Okay.
So on the 31st, the group arrived at the edge of the highland area and began to prepare for climbing. In a wooded valley, they got a surplus of food and equipment that would be used for their trip back. The next day, the hikers started to move through the pass. And it looks like they had planned to get over the pass and make camp for the next night on the other side. But the weather started getting worse, like snowstorms and I guess crappy visibility because of the snowstorms. They lost direction and went west towards the top of Kolot Sickle.
Yes.
Yeah. When they realized their mistake, they decided to set up camp on the slope of the mountain rather than move 1.5 kilometers downhill to a forested area that would have offered some shelter from the weather. They said that Dyatlov, who is the leader of the group, which is why it's called the Dyatlov Pass, he probably just didn't want to lose the altitude that they gained, or he was, they're trying to achieve this next year. He was probably like, oh, let's just camp on the slope. That's what people speculate.
Well, they all must be pretty good hikers, so he probably just thought,
we're
capable of this.
And they're all camping in one single tent. They're all sleeping in the same tent. I'm sure for body heat.
Yeah.
But it said the temperatures that night were super cold, like below 25 and 30 degrees Celsius.
Ugh.
Or -13, -22 Fahrenheit.
No.
Dyatlov had arranged with Uden that he would send a telegram once the group
Uden is the one who backed out. Okay.
Yeah, that he would send a telegram once they had returned. But when no telegram arrived on the agreed date or the week after, Uden decided to alert the authorities. He was like, something's not right.
Yeah.
Like
it's a whole week later.
Yeah, they were experienced hikers. They should have been back by now. The head of the Ural Polytechnical Institute, which is where the college all of these people attended or, were attending, decided to assemble a rescue team of students and teachers to look for the missing hikers. After they found some stuff, the Soviet army got involved.
Just right away.
Just right away.
We're going to bring in the military.
Yep. Here we are.
Yeah.
So
Okay, go.
Yep. So
I'll quit interrupting.
No, I love it.
I probably won't anyway.
No, please keep doing it. So on February 26, 1959, the researchers from the Ural Polytechnical Institute found their tent. It was cut in half, but it was cut from the inside. In the tent, there were all of their belongings, including several pairs of shoes. Outside the tent, there were 9 sets of footprints made by people who were wearing only socks, a single shoe, or who were barefoot. The tent was cut from the inside. So, the rescuers followed all of the pairs of footprints. Some led toward the edge of the woods, which is about a mile. Northeast of the tent. At the edge of the forest under a large pine tree, they found the remains of a small fire and the shoeless bodies of 2 people who were wearing only their underwear. Bodies of these 2 people, Doroshenko and Krivoshno.
Krivonishenko. So Doroshenko and Krivonishenko, but that may not be correct, but that's close.
Yeah, I'll just ask Megan to pronounce it the next time.
Like I'm an expert on
Yes.
Russian words.
Yeah, So experts said that above the bodies, branches on the pine tree were broken to a height of 5 meters, which is 16 feet. It makes it look like one of them had tried to climb up there to look at something. And when you climb up that tree, it's looking back at the campsite. But keep in mind, these 2 were in their underwear and no shoes on.
In -13 or colder weather.
Yes. Between the pine tree and the campsite, the researchers found 3 more bodies. They were lying several hundred meters from one another. There's no reason why these people are scattered all over the place when they're trying to find them. They're just what?
So we found 2 by the tree. Yep. We found these 3 more.
Yep.
Right? Okay, I'm trying to keep.
So that's 5. Mm-hmm. So they didn't find the remaining 4 until May 4th. Oh. So almost 2 months later. So they found them 82 yards further into the woods from the pine tree that the others were found at. 3 of the 4 were wearing more clothing than the others, and there were signs as each of them died that their clothes were appropriated by those who were still alive.
So it's not like there was some mass incident where they all died at once. Okay.
Yeah. It's like they were either running from something or running to somewhere.
But they would have had time. Well, this person died. I'm going to take their clothes and put them on now. So
yeah.
It couldn't have been just...
One of the female's foot was found wrapped in a piece of one of the gentleman's wool pants.
Her foot, what now?
It was wrapped in a piece of his wool pants. Her foot got hurt, or it was so cold that he ripped his pants.
Oh, okay.
And put it on her foot. She was wandering with him. And one of the others was found wearing Davina's coat and hat. Okay. So it's just did you just scramble and grab stuff while you were in the tent?
Right. And it
didn't matter whose stuff it was. You're just grabbing things. So until the autopsies were performed on all the members, they were just they just died from hypothermia. Things just got weird. They just, got too cold, ran off, whatever.
Right, got too cold and had that.
Yes.
You go a little bit crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And you start feeling so cold that you take your clothes. Then
you
feel hot.
Yeah. So they were just it was just hypothermia until they started researching the bodies of the last 4. One had several fractures to his skull. Two others actually had major fractures to their chests, but none of their bodies showed signs of external trauma. Like, if they were... I've never fought a bear before.
No.
But I guarantee...
Well, I have. Let me tell you.
Guarantee that there's some trauma that thing can impact.
The last time I fought a bear, you could tell.
Yeah.
It left a mark.
Little impact, little bruising.
I'll show you my scar.
Yeah, okay. Great. But wouldn't you think that he would, like, he or she, whatever the bear was, I don't know.
We don't assume gender.
We don't. Wouldn't you think that the bear would have left, like, scratches if it was, like, if it was, like, taking its giant ass foot
and there'd be, like, ragged...
at the person, it, like, hit that person's chest.
Ragged cuts, not clean cuts, and that kind of... Yeah.
But not just broken ribs and sternum and skull fractures. Like, I don't know. The examiner said that the force needed to cause the fractures was compared to a car crash, as if they had been hit by a car. It was that forceful.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I wonder, could they have fallen really far and hit?
That's like, well, they climbed 16 feet into the tree, like, but those were the two that were found dead first. It wasn't these. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. So one of Dabina, one of the two females, she was missing her eyes, her tongue, part of her lips, and part of her face, and a fragment of her skull bone.
Oh my god.
Yes. The skin on her hands was just grated.
Grated?
Uh-huh.
That's
just
a terrible
yes.
way to think about it.
But Alexander, his body showed no signs of injury. He just froze. So part of me is like, okay, well, maybe wildlife got to her.
That's what I was thinking too.
But her tongue? Like it...
Well, and why, if
her mouth was open maybe when she was...
Those four,
frozen?
The four we're talking about were found together, right?
Yeah.
Like so why would wildlife go, well, we're going to leave this guy alone.
Yeah.
But we're just going to go after this one particular body.
Authorities initially suggested that the group had been attacked by indigenous people in the area known as the Mansi. However, only hikers' footprints were visible in the snow, and none of the hikers' bodies showed signs of struggles aside from... what I found in doing some doing some digging and more research, some of the men had like really bruised knuckles as if they were like punching, and some of them had like bruises on their forearm as if they were blocking some hits.
Do we know if they took any sort of weapons with them? Like, would you be afraid of wildlife?
So in here it says that some of the limbs from the trees were clearly cut by a knife. But no knife was ever found anywhere on the bodies, anywhere within the vicinity.
Yeah, but those bodies weren't found for 4 months. Like,
right.
It makes you
could have washed down
there.
Yeah.
Still.
Yes.
Just one knife, though,
So then they were saying that they showed no signs of struggles. Another group of hikers that were about 31 miles south of the incident reported that they saw strange orange spheres in the sky to the north of the night of the incident. Similar spheres were observed in a similar area, and they continued for a period from February to March.
Alien fairies.
Yeah. By various independent witnesses, including meteorology services and the military, these sightings were not noted in 1959 investigation. And various witnesses came forward years later. An officer actually came forward years later and said, I was told I was not allowed to put that in my report and had to redact it.
Well, it's just like how... What was it in the last year or 2 years that our government has come out and said there is...
Yeah, UFOs.
There are UFOs.
Yes. Yeah, we do.
Whereas back in 1947, they were like, nope, weather balloon.
Nope.
For sure, not a UFO.
Parachute.
Guys. So it just makes you wonder all the time what they're keeping from us.
What do they know? So the International Science Times posted that the hiker's death was caused by hypothermia, which can induce behavior known as paradoxical undressing, which you mentioned. It's hypothermic subjects remove their clothes in response to perceived feelings of burning warmth. Like if you're really cold and you get in a warm bathtub, your toes
stings.
Yeah. It's indisputed that the 6 of the 9 hikers died of hypothermia. However, others in the group appear to have acquired additional clothing from those who had already died, which suggests that they were of sound mind enough to add layers onto their bodies.
Yeah. And that they lasted longer.
Yes.
Like what made these 6?
Why were they like?
And they were
survival
all
of the fittest.
experienced hikers.
Yeah.
This is so weird.
So some troubling questions are: why were they?
The whole thing is troubling.
Why were some of the members only dressed a little bit? Some were fully dressed. Why were they running through the snow barefoot or in socks or only one shoe? Some of the theories are 6 members of the group died from hypothermia. I mean, that's obvious. The other 3 had fatal injuries. At the time of the incident, there were no other people other than that group. All expedition members died between 6 and 8 hours after eating their last meal. 3 separate articles of clothing found on 2 of the bodies were radioactive.
Oh.
Throwing that in there.
That part. Yeah. Yes. I totally forgot that detail.
But when I was reading more things on it, it was like they were radioactive from the waist down. So I'll get to my theory on that in a second.
Okay.
And then others, had all like the physically forceful trauma done to their insides.
Yeah.
So another theory is the group woke up in a panic, cut their way out of the tent, either because an avalanche had covered the entrance to the tent or because they were scared that an avalanche was imminent. Mm-hmm. Better to potentially repair the slit in the tent than risk being buried alive. They were poorly clothed because they had been sleeping, ran to safety of the nearby woods where trees would help the oncoming snow, so they'd like try to climb up into the trees.
Okay, this all makes sense.
I like it. In the darkness, they got separated because you can't see anything in the middle of wintry Russia.
Right. Yeah, last time I was there, I couldn't see a daggone thing.
I mean, that bear you were fighting.
I know. I'll tell you, it was a rough trip.
It was that was so hard on you.
I know. I'm not going back.
One group made a fire. They say that explains why he had like burnt hands. He was like hastily making a fire. Oh. Another one had burn marks on their clothing. So it was like, oh, maybe, they were trying to help make the fire in just like such a haste.
Got too close.
If an avalanche is coming at you, why are you trying to make a fire? That's not going to stop the avalanche. But it said because of this, the avalanche, it was too cold. They all froze to death before they could locate their tent in the darkness. I don't understand. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like, I don't think I think we should throw that out.
The avalanche theory?
Yeah.
Like, I get the whole thing of running from the tent in a panic. I still think you'd be a little more dressed just because of the cold, but I don't know. Again, I'm not an experienced hiker by any.
Yeah, why are we naked?
What's happening in that tent?
What were they doing in that tent?
But it's still just.
I mean,
I don't know that was. I get that it does seem to me that something scared them to get the hell out of that tent quick and to take off running. I just don't know if an avalanche is.
Yeah, well, there's lots of things that.
Or maybe they thought it was
agree with us.
Okay.
So the location of the incident did not have any obvious signs of an avalanche having taken place. It would have left certain patterns and debris distributed all over the place. The bodies were found within a month of the event. They were covered with a very shallow layer of snow. And had there been an avalanche, it would have been a significant amount. They may not have ever been found. Mm-hmm. Over 100 expeditions to this region had been held since the incident, and none of them ever reported conditions that might create an avalanche. An analysis of the terrain and the slope showed that even if there could have been a very specific avalanche that found its way into the area, its path wouldn't have gone near the tent. The tent may have collapsed on the side, but it wouldn't have hurt them. Dyatlov was an experienced skier. And the older gentleman that was with them was studying his master's certificate in ski instruction. Neither of these 2 men would have been likely to camp anywhere where they thought an avalanche could have happened.
Yeah, I keep going back to that. Like, they're not dumb. Like, they're not beginners here.
Yes. And then footprint patterns leading away from the tent were inconsistent with someone to let the group of 9 people running in panic from either real or imagined danger. All the footprints leading away from the tent and towards the woods were consistent with individuals who were walking at a normal pace.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's weird.
So were they being led by someone?
Huh. Like, so what if someone showed up at the door of their tent and they cut it out, try to go out the back?
Yeah.
But it's not like, a tent's hard to sneak out of.
I know, like
if somebody's standing at the door, it's not like you can creep out the back without anyone noticing.
Yes. And if you don't like those theories,
okay,
here's some more that are connected to
Great.
it. In 2019, a Swedish-Russian expedition was made to the site, and after investigations, they proposed that a violent wind is likely the explanation for the incident. These winds are somewhat rare events and can be extremely violent. They were implicated in 1978 at Anaris Mountain in Sweden, where 8 hikers were killed and 1 was seriously injured in the aftermath of the wind. The topography of these locations were noted to be very similar. So, I mean, could they have been picked up and whatever, or were they like trying to get away from it? I
guess if it like were to be such a wind that it would blow your tent down or something, then
yeah,
you
but
would
the
use
tent
the knife to cut yourself out of it.
Yeah,
just because it's like, well, we've blown down. Let's just like it's
Yeah.
laying on me. I'm gonna cut it off.
yeah,
open.
But the stakes were
birthed myself.
come out of the womb of the tent. The womb of it.
Okay.
But the stakes were still standing, though.
Oh.
Like, in the photos of the tent, the, like, little teepee part of the, like, sides is still up.
Okay, well, so that's not. They didn't.
That's out.
They didn't birth themselves.
They didn't birth themselves
from
out
the
of the tent.
into the world.
Yes. Military tests. Some speculation exists that the campsite fell within the path of the Soviet parachute mine exercise. This theory alleges that the hikers, woken by a loud explosion, tried to escape the tent in a shoeless panic and found themselves unable to return for supply. After some members froze to death attempting to endure the bombardment, others tried to take their clothing, but then they were fatally injured by the parachute mine concussions.
I guess I'm just like, where does the radioactivity come into play?
So a similar theory
Okay.
alleges that testing of radiological weapons and is partly based on the discovery of radioactivity on some of their clothing, as well as the bodies being described by relatives as having an orange skin and gray hair, which they didn't have before they left.
That's new.
That's a little different, because you would think I haven't seen many dead bodies and many dead bodies due to hypothermia, but you would think that they'd be like a bluish color, right?
I would assume.
No, they were
Or
orange.
even like frostbitten,
They
so
were
like
Cheeto.
you know,
they were like
dark.
Cheetos. I don't know.
But we already know, like the theory before this, where they're like a shoeless panic.
Yes.
I'm like that, but they already know that the footsteps weren't like that.
They weren't running.
Is it possible they initially had a shoeless panic,
Right.
and then went back to the tent
And the
to
snow
get more
covered
clothing?
it up. And then they walked out. But then why would some of them still be naked?
Okay, so there is whatever happened that they had to run out of the tent really quick, cut out, bird themselves into the thing. I'm just going to keep saying it.
I love
it's
it.
The best mental image. And then, so some of them take off running and like they never see them again. So the rest of them go back.
Yeah, I don't know. So I'll do this and then I'll go into my theories.
Okay, good.
But so on February 4th, 2019, Russian prosecutors announced that they were reopening the investigation into the Dyatlov Pass incident. This is one of the most puzzling mysteries of the modern era. God bless America. I'm so excited to tell you my part. I just want to get to this. Okay, so its conclusions were presented in July 2020 that an avalanche had led to the deaths. Survivors of the avalanche had been forced to suddenly leave their camp in low visibility conditions with inadequate clothing and had died of hypothermia. So a deputy head of the regional prosecutor's office said it was a heroic struggle. There was no panic, but they had no chance to save themselves under the circumstances.
So what made them decide it was an avalanche after initially saying it wasn't? Now, I am aware that people can learn and change their minds.
Yep.
I encourage us all to learn.
Yes.
So that, and be okay with changing your mind as you learn new information in any aspect of life.
Yes.
But I just wondered if they said, like, I know we said this was not an avalanche before. There was no evidence of an avalanche. But now we're going to say it's an avalanche.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah. Well, in 2019, when CNN reported that, they said there's really only 3 possible explanations for these deaths. Only 3. An avalanche, a snow slab avalanche, or a hurricane.
They forgot to say
A hurricane.
alien berries.
Yes. So they're really
A hurricane.
hundreds of expeditions are like, there's no way in hell that there was an avalanche. No way. And if there was, they wouldn't have stayed where there would have been one. They knew better.
Yeah.
And also, this was mapped out and approved by authorities. You would have thought, like, if there was potential for avalanche, authorities would have been like, hey, I think that you should reroute this
Yeah.
Because you're within X amount of miles, north, south, east, or west of an avalanche. I don't know.
It also just seems like if there was an avalanche, it would have been obvious there was an avalanche.
Yes. Or a snow slab avalanche occurs when a weak layer of snow lies beneath a snowpack. When the weak layer of snow breaks off, it pulls all the layers on top of it down the slope. Mm-hmm. So Alexander was studying for his master's certificate, like I mentioned, and he and Igor Dyatlov would have been likely to camp somewhere where they didn't know that this could be a potential. They would have known the terrain.
Right. So they wouldn't have camped somewhere where that would have happened. Yeah.
Also, the possibility of a hurricane in this mountain is remote. Like, there's no possibility.
Doesn't seem
whatsoever.
Let's talk about
Let's talk about my theories for a second.
From now on, whenever we have a mystery, I'm just going to be like hurricane and alien fairies.
Yes, that is the answer to it all. So one of my thoughts is, what if when they did get off on the wrong path and decide to sleep in this one area, what if there was some sort of military thing going on and they weren't supposed to be there?
Yeah, they weren't supposed to see it, especially because we're talking about the Soviet Union.
Yes. So then when they are doing their rounds, they're like, who the hell are these people in this tent? Mm-hmm. I'm thinking that maybe the ones that were most clothed were already out of the tent and were found later by the military people, whoever these are. I'm not making assumptions. Don't come at me. But
these are all our opinions.
Yes. But what if they got them, like cut them out of the tent?
But they cut from the inside.
What if they were in the tent and just, like crazy psycho military, like knife, shank,
yeah,
you're
we
coming
don't
with
even
me.
need to go.
Yeah, you're coming with me.
We're going to prove a point.
Yeah, so they...
Don't get dressed.
Yes, so then I'm wondering if the ones that, like, maybe some tried to escape from them and, like, climbed up a tree and then had started a fire to see, like, the others, like, still being attacked. Like, I don't... Whatever. Mm-hmm. Also, I mean, this is horrible. There were 2 women. One who brutally murdered, obviously. Like, parts of her body were a mess. It also said in her, like, she was the one missing tongue and her tongue and eyes. It also said that she had a really bad bruise on the inside of her thigh. Like, what if that happened to her? And others were like, what? Because if their footprints were so light and not scarce, what if they were being led?
Yeah.
And what if they were led into an area, or what if they had stumbled across an area where they were doing testing of some sort, and that's why some of them were radioactive, but the others hadn't gotten to that point, and that's why...
Yeah, it definitely seems like they were split up somehow.
Yeah.
Gosh. See, this one...
What do you think? They were attacked by, I mean, it's Russia. There are crazy bears there. They're like massive bears there.
I love you. Listen. I'm a bear expert. Russia has the worst.
I mean, researching this, there's bears.
Oh, I can't. I wouldn't.
There's bears.
I have no, I mean, seriously, this one is one of those stories that I'm just like, I would believe just about anything you tell me. I would believe it was an avalanche, except that they made such a good case for why it's not an avalanche.
Well, they really did.
Convinced me with
the
first one.
hikers said no. But also, like, when they recovered their camera footage, they recovered all of their cameras, except, like, in the tent and stuff, except for one. One left with his camera around his neck purposefully, and then a notepad as well. So he was trying to document what was happening, but then the officer who was in charge of it said, "There's nothing on this notebook," and took it. Yeah, and then they didn't like allow, I don't remember if it was his sister or some relative of the one that had the camera to have those images until not that long ago. And a lot of those images are, it could be watermarks, but it looks like UFO stuff. And then another one,
I'm just staring at Kara like, what?
Yeah, huh? And then somebody tried to say that it was like a Yeti that attacked them. I don't freaking know. I mean,
listen,
Russian Yetis.
I listened to, there's a podcast called Supernatural by Ashley Flowers.
I love her voice.
It's a recent episode about Bigfoot. She does a pretty convincing job of being like, oh, Bigfoot exists and it's a government cover-up. We can't just be like, oh, right, a Yeti. The whole idea is that
what if the Yeti's radioactive?
But it all comes back together.
Aliens.
That Bigfoot is
an alien. Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. And it just got out of Area 51 and is stumbling across Russia. And
Let's
then now
combine
into-
every
in
conspiracy
Kentucky,
theory.
And it's reproducing and with humans and
then
that's how the Star Children came to be.
And then, yes. And that's how Scientology was born. Tom Cruise, who's the leader. So Tom Cruise did it.
Tom Cruise,
Don't sue us. They didn't.
don't
do
sue
it.
us,
It's
Tom
not-
Cruise. You didn't do it. You didn't. Go jump on your couches.
Yeah, so that's I mean, that is one of the best mysteries that I've ever.
I mean, I butchered
heard
every
of.
minute of it until I got to my theories because I just was so excited to tell you. There is a
You
website.
did not butcher every minute of it. You did great.
Thanks. But there is a website dedicated to this incident. It is thorough.
Yeah.
Like it has
Well,
timelines and everything.
Because we have no idea what
And-
happened. It's like literally there can any theory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure, that can be. We add it to the list because
Yeah.
no one knows.
Nobody
what the hell
knows.
happened. That's so scary. I still just want someone to explain the radioactivity.
Well, okay, so some people tried to debunk it by saying that the school that they were going to, they did like some classes or whatever, or their jobs had something to do with that. But I don't think they said, well, maybe that the bag that they carried those clothing items in had it from school or work or whatever. But wouldn't the rest of the stuff have it?
I mean, I would think so.
Yeah. Wouldn't they have had like traces in their body from it?
I'm surprised that it could even be as specific as just the waist down.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about radioactivity.
Yeah.
And radioactive substances.
So were they like taken and turned into test subjects and then like dropped in certain areas?
Were they spies?
I don't know.
Were they
Trying to research Bigfoot. Were they Bigfoot?
Oh. Were they the aliens?
Oh.
And they went there
And then that happened.
to communicate.
And then
we
their
could
people,
go a lot of
their people
directions.
turned on them. Their alien kind turned on them.
I just like that it continuously comes back to aliens.
Yeah. I think that's the one true answer, really.
I mean,
Because, take it back to Skinwalker Ranch.
ooh,
The aliens the skinwalkers would rip the cattle's eyes and tongues out.
Oh. There's a portal.
We've solved it.
There's a portal.
There's a portal between Russia and the Skinwalker Ranch.
Okay. You should call those people and just let them know we've got it all figured out.
We've-
They can stop.
Y'all can pay us your millions now. Whatever you were paying that one guy, we solved it
it's
in
fine.
like 10 seconds. So just you share the wealth.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
Good. Good. I'm glad we did this today.
I'm so
Great.
proud of us.
Mark that off
We
the
did
list.
a lot today in one
Busy.
episode. Man, guys, you're welcome. You're probably listening to us like what?
Is this what they always do? Yes. All right. So thanks for listening.
Yep. We're just going to get weirder.
If you would like to follow us on Instagram, it is.
Which is Magic Murder Mystery.
And if you would like to email us any story ideas, it
Yeah.
can be like, in the last episode, we read a story that wasn't Kentucky related at all. So don't feel like it has to be Kentucky related.
Yeah.
Although we do love our Kentucky ones since
do.
we're both Kentucky girls. Anything related to true crime, any unsolved or just mysterious happenings.
Conspiracies.
What else? Magic. I've been researching a lot
yes.
of curse stuff because we've only done the one magic episode,
Yes.
and I've got a curse episode in the works.
good.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Good. We love folklore.
Witch stuff.
Yes.
Any story, if you're not sure where it would fit, that's fine. You can just send it to us anyway. I just want to hear your stories.
Yeah.
So you can email those to us at witchesmagicmurdermystery@gmail.com.
gmail.com.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.